Hey everybody,
Hey there, hi there, ho there.
my name's Evan,
My name is Katie.
and this is
Pizza My Heart.
a music review podcast that's also about food.
Specifically, instant food.
And super instant food in this case.
We don't have to cook it at
we
all.
are taking it right out of the can. And today we're going to be talking about the album Good Weird by Basic Printer. And how do we know them?
Well, I saw him play once with Sean McVeary, who we did in an
Okay.
earlier episode.
Our second episode, yeah.
He released an EP on Newlywed Records, which is a record label in Utica, New York that I knew because Utica, New York is near where I originally grew up.
Yep.
And so we stayed there. And so we're Instagram friends because I like to follow musicians on Instagram, specifically small ones, particularly now that we have this podcast.
Yeah.
When I say small ones, I just mean ones you don't hear on the radio every day of your life.
Right.
Not
Because if any of the bands that we review get super famous,
that would be really awesome.
but we don't have to like unfollow them.
No, we definitely don't have to unfollow them. Our goal here is to talk about bands that aren't in immediate outlets all the time being talked about in the music sphere
Right.
every day.
People who might not get
Not
an
a household
official
name.
review from any other media like this.
Jesus, are we making you feel bad?
No, we're just saying that this is the
We're
this
part
is
of
a
the
step
DIY
on the way up,
scene. Yeah,
I
we're part
guess.
of the DIY scene in our own rights, and so
Yeah.
trying to do something cool.
We want more people to know about you.
Exactly, because we think you're cool. And but yeah, so I told him that we were starting a podcast back in July when we were talking about, I don't know, holograms or something, because I post weird things to my Instagram
Yes.
story, and I think he commented on one. And I sent him our demo episode and asked him what he thought, because he wasn't really a friend of ours that we knew in real life.
Right.
So I thought maybe he would be, more bold and mean if he needed to be.
Right.
And he liked it. He thought it was really cool. And he gave me some good feedback. Turns out he does PR, I think is what he told me. And he likes to help other people advertise things. So he thought the concept was cool.
Yeah, and hopefully he thinks this episode is cool as
I
well.
hope he thinks this episode is cool as
Hopefully
well,
he likes what we have planned for the first section.
It's-
Hey, Katie, you hungry?
EIENNA, sausage, I am hungry.
Okay. I guess normally we would do like a link where we would,
Go cook it.
yeah, but we're not going to cook
We
it.
don't have to cook it. It's just in a can. So we're just going to open it.
So you're going to hear this, and we're going to get into this.
All right, so we're going to do one can at a time. That sounds fair. Why don't you read what your can is?
Oh, the cat thinks it's his food.
Not surprising.
We are recording in a place with a cat, and the cat very physically reacted to these sausages being removed from a can. So first up, we're going to start. What are our available ones? What do we have? Smoked, barbecue flavored.
Hot and spicy, and then this one that's in Spanish for some reason. Salchicas de pollo estilo Vienna. Somebody tell me if I did that wrong. I haven't taken Spanish in 5 years. The cat is really...
Salchichas de pollo estilo Vienna.
The cat's into it.
Hey, Earl, get off the table.
Hey, you can't eat our food, cat.
Get down. This is not something that we planned.
Earlier today, I
Around.
accidentally fed this cat an entire bowl of treats. So
Instead
I think
of actual food.
when I'm around food, he just thinks he's getting treats now.
Let's dig into these smoked ones first. I think this is the most standard. Here, take one. Eat. This is the Vienna sausage that has been given to you. Do this. Try not to throw up, I guess.
Well, we don't know. They could be great.
Okay, so this is sausage number 1.
Sausage number 1. Cheers. The cat is crawling on me.
Are you putting it back?
Yes.
No, you have to finish it.
But there's 4 of them.
You don't have to eat. Oh, okay, yeah, we are going to eat 4.
Well, I've never seen a cat beg before, so maybe we could just give it to him. But
I don't. If we're worried that this cat might throw up because it didn't eat real food today, it just ate the good stuff, And
I'm
I
just
don't think
kidding.
giving it a Vienna sausage is going to make it
I don't
less
think
likely
that's
to barf.
good for cats anyway. The consistency was not great.
It is not as thick and dense as a sausage should be. You very much just bite all the way through it. My roommate just texted me, "Don't feed my cat sausages," which I think is probably fair.
I would never feed.
We are actively trying to keep this cat from eating these sausages for its own health.
If it was lutefisk, which is a type of dried fish,
Yeah,
perhaps
yeah.
I would indulge. But I also don't know this cat is a person, so
This cat
wouldn't like this sausage anyway. Nobody should.
No. We'll
That's a
see.
bold statement, but
Okay, so was there flavor? I don't know. There definitely was flavor, but it's very hard to describe.
it definitely tasted smoked.
Yeah.
It tasted like when you open a grill too fast and it gets in your mouth.
It's like very light charcoal flavor.
It's like somebody created a flavor in a lab and was like, kind of tastes like smoke. Let's put it on this sausage. And I know you can create flavors in a lab because my friend Nick once worked in a lab and it was his job to figure out which chemicals to put together. I don't want to say chemicals, but which something to put together to make strawberry yoo-hoo taste the most like actual strawberry
Right.
milk without having anything in it.
Well, it is chemicals. All right, we're opening can number 2 and trying to get the cat out of the living room. We tempted him out, and he's been scooped.
Bye, Earl.
Bye, Earl. That's my new housemate, Katie's cat, Earl. He is a joy, but he does love the opening of a can, much like a tennis player opening up new tennis balls.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's a great. I played tennis.
That's a great sound and a great smell.
It's just a great experience.
Is it a better smell than these chicken Vienna sausages, salchichas de pollo estilo Vienna?
See, now I don't like the color of these ones because they're the same color as your finger exactly.
Oh my goodness, you're so right.
It is literally the same color as Evan's finger, and it's freaking.
I don't know if I've ever seen a sausage this shiny.
That's not a good look.
Oh,
The whiff is just pure pine needles.
Let's not smell them.
It just smells like pine
Oh
needles.
yeah, you're right. That's weird.
What is this?
Oh, that was definitely worse than the first one.
That's a hard no. I swallowed it in one bite. Like I didn't chew it, I just swallowed it.
Oh, it very much just sort of disappears. It's like, it's weird because it's like when you get really well cooked meat, it sort of just dissolves like really slow cooked, maybe brisket, I don't know, ribs, something like that. Like that can just get really soft and it's really nice. This feels like suspiciously soft.
Suspiciously soft.
Suspiciously soft.
New band name.
Oh, yeah. Anybody who wants that, you're welcome to have it. Just put a link to this podcast in your album bio. Remember where you came from.
Didn't taste like chicken.
No, I don't think so. I don't know what it tasted like. I've forgotten already.
You want another bite?
Sure.
I just want to
I
add
did
that
finish my sausage.
Evan's fork is a lightsaber,
Oh, yeah.
and it's really nice. My fork is normal. It's a regular fork.
Oh, my goodness. Imagine having to, like, drink the goop inside of one of these cans.
That's
for
a really
bet.
good dare. I wouldn't want to do that. These are pretty bad. These are Armor sausages. Armor Vienna sausages. Armor with a U. What else do we know? It was inspected for wholesomeness.
What? Wait,
Bye.
hold on.
Inspected for wholesomeness by U.S. Department of Agriculture. Is that a real thing?
What? Yes, of course it is.
No, being inspected for wholesomeness.
Oh. I don't see this. Where is this?
They are gluten-free. It's on the bottom right of the can.
Bottom, it's a circle.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
innocent.
yeah, okay.
Yep. And I just want to point out the one that you have, the one that you have has the gluten-free notification in a different spot, but underneath it says sin gluten.
Yeah,
on
sin
just,
gluten.
Just your can.
Oh, the other ones
The other
don't?
ones just say gluten-free. That one says sin gluten.
Well, gluten is a sin, one. And two, I think sin gluten probably just means without gluten and Spanish.
Yeah, no, it does. It just sounds. It just if you're reading it in English, sin gluten.
Sin gluten also sounds like a good like Dutch last name.
Yeah, or like maybe what I should tell my friends to call it that like have celiacs and stomach
it's sin
issues.
gluten.
Yeah, like you gonna sin gluten tonight? I want some cake. Cake with all the gluten. All right, shall we try another one of these cans?
Yeah, do you want to open that one? What is that? Hot and spicy? I think this might be the best one.
So shall we save it for last?
Yeah, because
All
barbecue flavored, that does not sound good.
I already don't like barbecue flavored anything because I don't like barbecue sauce.
All right. Satisfying. That's a good sound. I think the cat just maybe ran into the bedroom. He's been removed from the situation. It looks like there's barbecue sauce in it.
Yeah, I might even.
Or
I
it's
won't,
like floating in barbecue sauce.
I won't sit this one out, but I already know I won't like it. So
I know you want to.
I'm just gonna lick one.
Don't lick. You have to take a bite.
All right, I'm just gonna take the baby bite.
It's like how, we have to listen to full albums multiple times. You can take one bite of sausage.
Well, I read a French parenting book once, and it was like I don't know why I did, but I did. And you have to make a baby try something like 7 times before you decide they don't like it.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm trying to scrape off the barbecue sauce juice from my sausage.
It's not too bad. I think it's just a regular one, but instead they float it in barbecue sauce. I don't know. This one is my favorite so far. I know that you don't like barbecue sauce. I'm a fan of barbecue sauce. It kind of just tastes like Chef Boyardee, maybe?
Yeah.
Like SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
But it's like if all the spaghetti was weird sausage.
Right now.
And not good weird.
No, not good weird. Right now, I wish that we were a vlog cast or something so that you could see my faces. I could barely chew this one, and just for a visual, I let it.
I'm changing my mind. That wasn't.
I let it fall to the back of my mouth, and then I just shook my head so it would fall to my throat hole and roll down my esophagus because it was that bad. What happened? What happened with the aftertaste?
I think I just I thought about it too much, and it really stopped tasting good.
It's haunting your dreams. We have one left. Shall I open this one?
Yeah.
Lift ring, pull to open, aluminum, recyclable, return if ring is lifted. Good rules. You don't want to accidentally. Oh, I have nails, so this is hard. Oh boy.
Let's hear Earl. He's gonna come running.
I don't think he did.
He might have perked up.
All right, so this looks almost exactly like the barbecue sauce ones.
Yes, it looks like a bit of a thicker sauce though.
Well, it's hot and spicy.
It's a darker, thicker sauce.
It's not just hot. It's not just spicy.
Right, hot and spicy.
It's hot.
But these are cold. We're eating them right out of a can. We got them from a Family Dollar.
The place you go for all of your dinner necessities.
Hey, and we're not critiquing people who shop at Family Dollar for their food.
I do. They have I'm not critiquing. I do buy food there.
Yeah.
Oreos, and I buy food that I would buy anywhere else, but I've never seen a Vienna. Well, I've never been interested much in pre-cooked canned meat.
Yeah, and there definitely was a lot. I should say, I'm down with Spam. I like Spam.
I don't like regular ham, so there's no reason.
Yeah.
All right, last one.
Okay, let me get this one. Let me get a big old bunch of hot sauce on it.
Actually, the hot sauce itself is kind of nice, but the sausage is not that great still.
I felt like it was a thicker sausage. It didn't
it wasn't as
dissipate
mushy.
in my mouth.
Maybe,
it didn't disappear.
Maybe the sauce was too thick for it to absorb and make it wet inside.
That's interesting. That's definitely an idea. Or it absorbed the sauce, but the sauce density just
made it thicker.
Right.
Maybe. That was definitely the best one.
Mm-hmm. Easily.
And the sauce was kind of tasted like Tabasco sauce.
It probably is. It's just a plain hot sauce. I would say if you ever need to eat Vienna sausages for any reason, be it you want to have stomach pains later,
terrible diarrhea,
or you just don't have a lot of money and need something savory and you don't really care where it comes from, I would say hot and spicy Vienna sausages is the way to go.
Yeah, so if you're ever in a situation where someone is giving you canned food because you're stuck in a bunker and people are scrambling and all that's left is the Vienna sausages.
Or Vienna sausages are there and you don't want to be left with the barbecue ones or the
Yeah,
chicken ones.
take the hot and spicy. Because I'm imagining if I was at a store and I didn't have a lot of money there, I would probably buy other savory things before I bought a can of tiny meat sausages.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting that the ends are cut off this sausage. It's just the middle. There's no little butt.
Yeah, well, see, I know people listening can't see this, but to describe the sausage, it's a meat cylinder, as most sausages are, but it is more of a typical cylinder because it doesn't have rounded edges like most sausages do. That is to say, rounded top and bottom. There's no top and bottom dome. Instead, it's flat, and it has a seam, yeah,
Like a
slit
Frankenweenie.
up and just down lengthways one side. So I imagine what happens is they lay out these sausage casings and then they just fill it up with the rest of the sausage stuff and then mechanically roll it up and then slice it into these small sizes.
I agree with you, but I don't think that they have a casing because the outside wasn't crunchy. I think it's just a meat tube that comes out like one of those Play-Doh things where you squish the Play-Doh out of the holes and you make like spaghetti.
Okay.
But I think it's like that just with some sort of meat product.
Okay. So you're saying that that it's not, this is the remnants of not being closed all the way. It's that they put a slice in it and the slice is like product of it going through the machine or whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to have another one of these hot and spices.
All right, so we have the serving size is 4 sausages, so you get 2 servings out of each can, which is nice. This one
Hold
says robust and hearty.
There are 5 in each can, or 6 in each can.
Serving size 4 sausages, 60 grams. Servings about 2.
No, that's just wrong.
But yeah, there were 6.
I mean, it's like negligible, like it's not really importantly wrong. There are 6 in each can. It says the serving size is 4, and the serving sizes, there are 2 of them.
Yeah, about
It's
2.
8.
Well, it says about 2.
Yeah, but 6 is like,
They just didn't want to say 1.5.
that's
They said about
dumb.
2.
That's stupid.
Well, they might all say something different. This one says sausages are bursting with flavor, robust and hearty. These sausages taste like
Christ.
they are straight from the smokehouse.
There's so much salt. I've eaten so much salt today. This is not
one
good.
say? This one says thick, rich barbecue sauce, seasoned to perfection and bursting with flavor.
I really wish that we had gone to
Yeah.
Salt City Dogs in Syracuse. We just went through a hot dog drive-through. That was really nice. I got a kielbasa with sauerkraut.
I got 2 hot dogs and cheese fries and a milkshake.
Yeah. And the sauerkraut was like, it was like had been fried, I think. It looked like it had been browned a little bit, which I've never seen before. And I only recently realized that I was okay with sauerkraut. I thought I hated it for a while. I thought it was a bad thing. And now I don't think it is. And I wish that we were eating that after these sausages, you know?
Well, I still have food, so
Oh, yeah,
you
you're
can
right.
have some leftover cheese fries.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome, because these sausages ruined everything for what was left in my mouth from that food.
Yeah.
They were not good. They were a lot of salt. I keep imagining and having like little nightmares in the back of my brain. Like, you know when you watch that documentary on the guy that just eats McDonald's?
Oh, yeah. Supersize me.
Yes. And he gets really unhealthy at the end because he's making this documentary. He's only eating McDonald's. That's going to be us. Except for when we die, we just won't decompose because we've plopped so many preservatives into our body.
Well, it's a good thing that this podcast is not daily. I think you're right. If this were a daily podcast, we would be
Fat and sad.
This would definitely be a death sentence.
Yeah. But we do it every other week. And we don't even record every other week.
No. We usually,
We bulk record.
yeah. Well, not super bulk, but just like a couple at a time because it's hard for us to get together because we live a few hours away from each other.
We are the creatine of the podcast world.
Sure.
We're bulking up.
Oh, yes.
Hey there, hi there, there.
Welcome to the CostCo podcast of PizzaMyHeart, the CostCo of podcasts. No, that's
These-
probably why if you have feedback, it might take a month for it to be processed and received through evidence in new podcasts, because it does take a while for us to get around to releasing them. Hopefully one day, if we live closer or we start recording in separate locations, if that's necessary, we could do them more frequently. But until then, Katie and I are together, and we have listened to the album Good Weird by Basic Printer a couple times together and a few times by ourselves.
And it is a good weird, unlike the sausages.
Oh,
which
the
are a bad
sausages
weird.
are a bad weird.
So I'm really
They're
excited to
weird,
talk
comma,
about
bad.
good weird things.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Talk to people and they'll try to shush it. Walking steep just makes it hard to push it. When you noise, soothe yourself, they'll hate it. But not for me, got the good weird bug in my heart, gonna use it. Everybody wants to cause a problem. Self-love isn't pleasing if they got none. Try and change it for their liking, hold up. It's not for me, got the good weird bug in my heart, gonna use it. We don't care what you
Hey, that was good.
That was good. I don't know if that was very weird. So here's what I want to say about this album. I'll get it out. I think Good Weird might have a slash in the middle of it or between it. And I think if you look at the track listing on Bandcamp, the first 4 songs are all uppercase and the last 4 songs are all lowercase. So I think it's 4 songs that are good and the 4 songs that are weird. And I think that might be how it's broken up. Because honestly, it feels like it's 2 EPs, you know? It feels like it's 2 completely different concepts, and then they meet in the middle, and then they separate.
I think you're right.
Because the first 4 tracks are super funky. It's funky, but it's also experimental synth pop kind of funk, you know? So there are those kind of gang vocal parts that are an element of funk, and there's the horn sounds that you really like around in the middle near the end.
I love a good horn sound.
Who doesn't?
I love a good horn.
And there are just so many good, thick, funky synths, especially low synths in this, and specifically in the song Good Weird. There's something that happens, especially near the end. It becomes very clear what's going on. There's this low synth part, and then there's a high synth part, and it sort of feels like there's a back and forth between them, like a conversation kind of thing. And I love when instruments do that. And it's like, you can just imagine, so on a stage with a band, you would have 2 different people playing different instruments, say saxophone and trumpet, and they would go back and forth in a sort of dueling solo kind of thing. And I just love getting that kind of experience within a song. I think it does a great job of that.
And here it is with synths.
Exactly, because sometimes you can have that internal duel, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be people on a stage. It can be 2 different sounds, and it's the same effect. It's the same feeling, you know?
I agree.
Good. I'm glad we're on the same page.
We're on the same page. Yeah. We said last ep that. Well, forgot what we said last ep. No, we said last episode that this podcast, this project for us is fun because we get to listen to music genres and things that we haven't really listened to before. It's helping us broaden our horizons. And I like synths and I like synth pop. And I'd say I like experimental things, but I haven't ever really heard anything quite like Good Weird.
Oh, definitely.
This is new for me.
Yeah, to me it sounds like Bahamas, but if you just put it through an 8-bit synthesizer.
Or a video game
Yeah,
version.
if you put Bahamas in a video game It's kind of like that. I think definitely the first 4 tracks, because it's got that backing vocal, mainly female backing vocal, which in this song is done by Del Florida, who also has some solo parts, and they're really good.
Yeah, she's killing it. The page also kind of looks like a weird video game vacation.
Well, it looks like trippy Minecraft, and I can't imagine that that's not what they were going for.
Yeah. Well, he has this thing with this cube shirt that he wears a lot.
Yeah.
And from the looks of his gram, I think it's safe to say that he wears this shirt during all performances.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave him that shirt on this album cover, whoever designed the album art. And they also made these like cubic things behind the like Minecraft world sort of scenario.
I'm sorry, maybe Minecraft wasn't what was intended there, but if you're going to have blocks and you're going to have someone with a square head.
I think his head fell into a computer. I think he's trapped in there.
Yeah, but it still sort of looks like the cube head guys from Minecraft. So it's kind of, that's honestly, whenever I look at that, that's what I feel. But I don't think it's Minecraft music.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to think of what video game that this would be good for. Probably
Zelda?
No, it's not Zelda music. This is like
I'm just listing old video games. I don't play video games.
like Jet Set Radio, maybe, or SSX Tricky or something like that. I mean, any of the SSX games, just SSX Tricky is the best, most fun one to say.
I don't know what those are.
SSX is a snowboarding game, and Jet Set Radio was a rollerblading game and also a graffiti painting game, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know too much about it. I've seen it. I might have played it a couple times, but I don't know anything about it, really. If I played it, I didn't know what I was doing.
I wasn't allowed to play video games.
Why?
We just didn't have them.
So-
And they weren't allowed in the house. We had no video game systems.
Why?
I have no idea.
Okay.
My parents didn't like them. Yeah, we also didn't have cable until I was in like 8th grade or something like that.
Okay.
So I had PBS and that was it. So I'm like surprised that I can even be like, wow, this sounds like a video game. Because what does a video game even sound like?
Oh, man.
I only know what Zelda sounds like because I play the soundtrack sometimes when my students are working. Because they have nice soundtracks. So I do know that this doesn't sound like any of the Legend of Zelda soundtracks that I've listened to. But I've never played the games.
Or maybe
Isn't that
this
weird?
could be...
Is that good weird? Is it good weird that I listen to the Zelda soundtracks, but I've never played or even seen a Zelda game IRL?
Maybe. I think it might be weird. I don't think it's too weird because it's a good soundtrack.
Fair enough.
But I guess you do look like you probably should know what Zelda is.
I look like... Are you taking a hard look at me right now?
I am. Let's take a hard look at this next song and see if it makes us think of any other video games.
I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. I'm not trying to be someone. I'm not trying to be upfront when I'm not. I'm not trying to be anyone. When you shoot that hard look, I'll be on the run. I don't wanna be high being having fun.
So this song starts with something that is reminiscent to me of the Ooga Chakas at the beginning of Hooked on a Feeling. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think about.
Ooga chugga, ooga chugga.
ooga.
That baby
Yeah.
used to scare me.
Oh, yeah, of course.
When they
Wait,
used
baby? What baby?
Was it NBC or CBS or maybe ABC? All these letters. One of the like television stations in the mid '90s to the early 2000s. they had a CGI naked dancing baby
Oh, yeah.
at the end of, what was it, Seinfeld maybe?
I don't know.
Some show. And it danced to the Ooga Chugga song. And there was like toys of it sold at like Spencer's and Kmart. And I used to go run and like bury my face in my mom's like breasts and cry. That sounded weird. But you know, like when you're a kid,
when
and
you're a kid,
you
yeah,
hug
yeah,
your
yeah.
mom. And,
Yes, I know what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to just like sob. But one time it was also in a Kmart and it was on the shelf right next to a VHS of Child's Play and like a badly made Rosie O'Donnell Barbie doll. And so the three of these things together just filled me with such fear on the sale shelf at a Kmart
Oh my goodness.
that I don't like that song at all. Hooked on a Feeling. Ugh. But I like this song and it doesn't scare me.
Yeah, this is that was just an immediate diversion off of talking about Hard Look.
Well, it made me think of the beginning of In the Jungle.
Yes. Yeah.
Is what
No. You thought this was the Lion King soundtrack.
I think of that song when I think of The Lion King.
Okay, so you were thinking of the beginning of the Lion King Circle of Life, but you were also thinking of In the Jungle.
No, I was just thinking of like The Lion King is in lions because of In the Jungle.
Okay. I understand now. Yeah, that makes sense. It is an interesting place to start. I mean, I don't really like the Ooga Chakas in Hooked on a Feeling are like, they stand out as being like a weird and bad part of that song. Like it doesn't set it up at all. I don't understand why they're there. This makes sense. This is like, okay, it leads into this. This is just an element of this song. It's the intro. It's not the same, but it also makes sense. It flows logically. So if you're going to do something weird like that, make it good. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Basic Printer gets it. If you're going to do something weird, make it good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just sounds weird.
Yes. I mean, yes.
So you want to have a good weird. And
Right.
he's found that balance
Because,
appropriately titled.
right. Exactly. And I think this is also the catchiest song. I do think that the chorus for Good Weird is also catchy. But I
catchy.
think that the I'm not trying to be someone,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be anyone.
Yeah, I can see this getting stuck in my head like on a
Oh,
work
yeah. It has multiple
commute
times
day.
today.
Oh, yeah, we've just been singing it walking around Evan's house, actually,
Yeah, basically.
is basically what we've been doing.
But I like that. I like that jump up on anyone.
Yeah.
I think that that is a good.
That
It's not
inflection.
expected. Yes, it's a good inflection, but it's also a good place for the melody to go. I don't think it's the most obvious one, and I think that is something that we talked about on the last episode is subverting expectations. There's a lot of expectations in this. Well, it's hard to have expectations about
With
this.
experimental
this whole-
synth
yeah,
pop.
exactly.
You can't have an expectation at all. That's like the fun of the experiment.
Right. So even in the places where there are expectations, you're subverting them.
Yeah.
And then everything else is.
Or you just are like me and you're like, experimental. Well, I don't know how this is going to go. I have no expectations.
Right. Yeah. So that's one of the things when you label yourself experimental, you don't get tied down to format as much. You don't get tied down to, like we say, expectations.
Formalities of your
right.
genre.
Because you're, whatever your genre is, you don't have, you can basically do whatever you want, and that's really freeing, and I totally get why people do experimental. I like pop formats as far as songwriting, and, music production and everything. Pop is for the people, and I'm one of them, and I dig it. But I also like when people break that. I think that there's a part where it gets out of form so much that I no longer recognize it, and I'm just not really interested. I think this album gets to that point sometimes. I think, in the last 4 tracks, it's just really hard for me to pay attention to it. But I think the first 4 songs on this stand out so much because they're paired with these 4 songs after it that kind of blend all together and don't have nearly as much format. And then when you loop back around to the beginning of the album, you're like, oh, I forgot this is where we started,
Yeah.
you know?
The last 4 are like kind of sleepy.
Yeah.
They're still synthy and electronic, but they're like a sleepy, hazy version
Yeah.
of it. And which is interesting because the first song that does that, it's called Snore Captain, no?
Yeah.
It is. And so that's very interesting. It's like we fall asleep.
Exactly.
And in the first song, some of the lyrics are like, good luck keeping me asleep. So you wonder if the persona that is Basic Printer, if he falls asleep around the middle of his, figuratively and lyrically. I don't know.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Didn't he say in his bio that he had an ex who went to one of his shows and fell asleep?
Yeah. No, she fell asleep and she missed his show.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I read the entire bio. It's kind of long. It's on Facebook, but it's really fun to read. I'm a writer, so I look at bios as like a very official business kind of point of view. And this is kind of a long, kind of whirling, kind of trailing narrative
You
with some
really get a good idea.
with some odd details, like some weird details that make it really fun to read, but like it'd be fine without them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's a section in there where he makes an album that I think it's like he made an album, his friends didn't like it, the internet did, and then that's what it says. And then he made another album, the girlfriend he just broke up with and was sad about, she liked it, and that made him feel a little bit better. But then years later, she slept through his concert.
Right. But sleeping through a concert could mean went to a concert and fell asleep there.
But how were you really gonna do that?
Yeah, I guess that's
Some
a good
really
point.
great earplugs.
But-
you're really drunk.
I don't know. I feel like if he's playing,
You got locked in the bathroom.
I don't know. I think some sort of soaring experimental synth pop that's very much more based in airy, wavy pad sounds. You can sleep through that.
It's true. Actually, when I did see him in concert, I was just starting to see the person I at the time was dating, and I went to the bathroom in between sets, and I got stuck in the bathroom.
Oh.
I couldn't get out. It was somewhere in Brooklyn.
What?
And I was gone for, it felt like a really long time to me. And the boy I had like just started seeing was like mingling with his friends because he knew a lot of the people at the show. And I couldn't get out of the bathroom. And I was so afraid that people were going to think I was rude for disappearing for so long. The door got stuck or jammed.
The door to the stall or the door to the bathroom?
It was just like a single bathroom.
Okay.
And so I finally got out when another person was trying to come in. And they knocked, and I was like, I can't get out. And then they opened the door, and I was like, careful with that door.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so maybe that happened to his ex-girlfriend.
Maybe
it was
that's
at the
what it
same
was.
space,
Yeah,
and
okay.
she was just locked in the bathroom the whole time. You never know.
Yeah, that could be. That could be the case.
I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. And I just get locked in the bathroom sometimes.
Yeah.
No, lyrically, I really like this because it's fun. I like when people, and like I'm a poet and a writer, I like using slang whenever I can, being an English teacher. And so that I like he has the slang in here written as tryna.
I personally would say TRYNA. Basic Printer has chosen TRYIN apostrophe A, which makes sense. I get it.
Yeah. I think it's fun. Well, it's like trying, but they made it, it's now a conjunction.
Yeah, exactly. Tryna.
I also really like that the lyrics are all really simple. And then
Also, just
yeah.
thank you, Basic Printer, for sending us the lyrics so we could actually look at them. So many other people do not make their lyrics available anywhere. And it's just hard to do this
Yeah.
when you can't look at the lyrics.
And these are also on Bandcamp, so anyone can look at the lyrics.
Yeah,
Because that's
exactly.
where I'm looking at them at right now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But he also did go above and beyond, and he sent us the lyrics as a Google Doc, and that was,
Chef's kiss.
yeah, the lyrics are really simple. I think it's interesting that he says, I don't want to be happy and having fun. Usually people do want to be happy and having fun, even if they are sad. So I find that very interesting. And then this next, like, it's the only part where the song switches up and it's not the same words because you just keep hearing the same thing over and over again. And it says, you're a liar if your limbic system and orbicularis are out of tune. Don't even know if I pronounced that word right.
Orbicularis.
Don't stop trying to subvert the chemistry you've owned since you've been a SpermatoZune. Is that what a single sperm is called? Is this real life or is it fantasy?
Well, it's SpermatoZone.
I'm an English. I like SpermatoZone.
It does look like
it
that.
sounds like an instrument. Yo, what are you playing? The SpermatoZune. Boop, 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 boop.
Remember?
I'm picturing a marching band of sperm.
Oh, yeah. Remember when Microsoft released the SpermatoZune to compete with the iPod?
No. Oh my God. You know, we already diverged for a second here, so I'm just gonna say that actually the Zune HD was significantly better than the first iTouch because I had multiple Zunes in my life, and they were better. And you could airdrop songs to each other, which iPhones just started doing like 2 years ago.
Right.
I could do that in high school with my Zune.
Wow.
Yeah, Apple was holding out on us. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
I'm gonna end up being murdered mysteriously now, and we're all gonna know the Apple community did it.
Okay. We should. I feel like that whole section is a very good example of our dichotomy because you just go straight for it, SpermatoZune, and part of my job literally is to pronounce words like this for a medical education company.
Yeah.
So like saying spermatozoan is part of my job, or I imagine it will when sometimes I will read a script that has spermatozoan in it.
Yeah, Brian. Hey, Ryan.
Sorry?
Evan.
Yes. Whoa, what? Did you just call me Brian and Ryan?
I did.
Okay.
Because I tried to say part of your job, but then it came out as
Brian? No, yeah, that happens to me all the time.
And I think I also wanted to say brain. Help me.
Yeah.
No, Evan's job is actually, he does voiceovers for a medical thing, right?
That's part of my job.
Yeah.
I'm a video editor for them, first and foremost.
So he can say these words and I can make them up. It's more fun things. SpermatoZune.
To be fair, when the first time I looked at it, I was like, is that really how spermatozoan is spelled? Because it's a poorly constructed word, spermatozoan. But let's not linger on that.
No, sorry, Jesse.
It is a good word. I love when people can...
I just like that it's very simple. And what I was trying to say was that the lyrics are very simple and it's very nice because it's easy to sing along with. It's easy to like bob your head to. It's easy to get stuck in your head, very catchy. And then you have this one verse that has extremely difficult scientific lingo used, which is total opposite of the whole rest of the song. And I think that's really cool.
Although, I guess I never noticed that that's what the words were. Although it's rhyming out of tune with spermatozoon. So maybe that's how he says it. But I don't know. Artistic license, you know?
I think you could say spermatozoan.
You could say that, yeah.
That's how I'm imagining he's saying it now that it's been a few minutes and I'm not listening to the song while reading the lyrics.
Well, let's not act like we're calling anybody out for pronouncing words in whatever way they want to do it. Because I've definitely decided that I want a word to sound a certain way in a song, and then I just disregard how it's actually pronounced.
Well, you can do that with anything. That's the wonders of language. You can put XJW and pronounce it George, and that is your name.
Sure.
Like, you could pretty much do that. I was talking about that specific example exactly with George. Not sure if I picked the same 3 letters with a teacher that I work with because we have a student whose name is spelt in a way that doesn't look like it should be spelled.
What?
I can't say the name of that child. That would give it away. But there's a child that goes to the school that I work at, and his name is spelt in this way that you would think 100% it's pronounced a certain way.
Right.
Like Joaquim or something like that.
Right.
You look at it and you're like, oh, that's Joaquim. But it is not pronounced that way.
Right.
At all.
Is it like saying it's pronounced Joachim or something like that?
Yes, which interestingly enough, there is a student that went to my school last year whose name was Joachim, not Joaquim.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's another student with a similar kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so we were talking, like a bunch of teachers that were like, oh, like his name. And then this one teacher was like, no, you could do whatever. And so he does, and musicians do, and poets do. So we would never, and plus I can't pronounce anything if you haven't learned anything from this podcast.
Oh my goodness. Oh no. I think we have to, at some point, I'm going to just have to tell him, Katie.
When you gonna? Is track 3.
No, I was going to say.
No, I know what you're going to do, but when you gonna?
Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to talk about track 3. I think we're going to talk about Snore Captain.
I just really wanted to make fun of these song titles and jokes to you that you didn't like. Like, get off of your phone that's not near you.
Oh. I don't know if saying, I think it's not so much making fun of as making fun with.
Yeah, that's a weird phrase. I'm going to tell that to my students, actually. Making fun with.
Yeah.
Being punny.
I hate the word punny, but
Yeah,
you're welcome to use it.
And you also don't think that I make good puns.
I think that some of them are good. I think that you have an unusual understanding of how a joke is constructed. And I think that gives you a very certain and special kind of comedy that hits me in ways that I have never experienced before. And that's why you can say just one word in a certain way and I crack up because I don't know where it's coming from and I don't know what it means, but then you explain it. And it's so funny because I just never would have thought about going in that direction.
Like Vienna, Vienna sausage.
Yes, exactly.
I hope somebody out there actually does get it because I'm not going to tell you guys, but I told Evan
Yes.
why that is the way it is. Now I'm dancing to that song in my head.
I was just going to say that when I picked you up from the bus station the other day, you mentioned a music genre called reggae.
Don't do it. No.
It's fine. If people pronounce words wrong, that just means that they read them. And that means they read. And it means they can read. And that's a good thing.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
You also said if I ever said that word on the podcast, that people would immediately disregard my expertise in anything.
To be fair, I don't think. I mean, you're not the word pronouncing expert.
No, my brain always works a lot faster than my mouth. Mm-hmm. So, like when I called Evan, Brian, and Ryan
Yeah.
30 seconds ago.
Yeah. Or what was it? I think on our second episode, you said dash hound for dachshund.
Oh.
The dog.
I thought those were dude.
Wait.
Oh, no.
It's worse than I thought.
I thought these were two different names.
Really?
For
What
this.
did you think?
I thought there was Dash Hound
Yeah.
and Dachshund.
And you thought they were different?
I thought Dachshund was just a nickname.
Oh, not that you thought they were different breeds.
No.
Oh.
I just thought one was a
okay.
nickname.
That's not. I thought maybe you thought that they were two completely different dogs.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I know my dogs, just not how to pronounce their breeds, apparently. Interesting.
Yeah.
So Dash Hound is actually Dachshund.
Yes.
I always thought it was Dash Hound because they're little and they're long and they just dash everywhere.
Oh yeah.
They're dashing hounds.
Dachshunds are just notoriously quick.
Oh, we hope you aren't snoring out there.
But if you are, wake up, Snore Captain.
Wake up, wake up.
We are the same, like the names of our past loves. Weekly connected by a linear straw. Fighting colossi to the pyramid song. But you don't seem to notice that every time we face, you're blanked and blurred and trying to get a grip of your mind. The psychic creep between us, stamped and shut by all listlessness, incurred by self-destructive tendency. My friend Snore Captain, you got to wake up.
All right. So I remembered while we were just listening to that again that I forgot to actually get back to my point, which was I think that Snore Captain might be the ex-girlfriend that showed up to a show and then fell asleep. Or, sorry, I don't know why I keep thinking of it that way. Slept through a show. I think you're definitely right. It just slept through it. Unless it was sleep through a show, because that would be...
That would be more insulting.
Yeah, that would be buckWILD.
Like, I mean, my ex is a musician. Should I go sleep through his shows? Like, that'd be so mean. I don't have that in me.
No,
That'd
I don't
be
think.
fun for April Fool's Day, though.
Oh no. Ugh, don't do that. That's a bad idea.
He has no shows that I know of.
It's not anywhere near April, Katie.
I gotta wake up.
Yep.
No, I think you're probably right, and I think that she probably just didn't go to the show because she
Right.
was sleeping. And I think that if it's not about her, it's
About someone with some sort of substance abuse or alcoholism or issue with alcohol, maybe. It seems like that.
maybe. I think it could either be about the other person in a relationship, or it could be an outside look at yourself in the relationship.
Could be. Yeah, you're right.
Because in poetry all the time, I'm talking about myself, but I use you, or I use collective terms that
Sure.
aren't I or me or
Sure.
mine. I think it could be that. I think this does a lot of cool things with synths. I think it changes it up a lot
Yeah.
as the song goes on. It doesn't seem to have one thing that happens through the whole thing.
Right.
There's a few things that come back and tie it together, so it feels like the same song.
Mm-hmm.
But you start off with this like Stranger Things kind of
Yes.
sound that kind of fades out at the end. You
Right.
come back to that sound.
And I didn't think of that until you said it, but it's really reminiscent of that.
Yeah, which is the whole album in that way is, I mean, Stranger Things is nostalgic of a certain point in time, pop culture wise. And I think a lot of like 8-bit computer games, which this also seems to be a little bit inspired by, is in similar time era.
Sure.
And so I think that it makes sense that that's there, and I really like it. And I also really liked how agenda was rhymed with friend.
Oh, yeah.
Agenda. And it was one of those things where you change just you would think that if you were to sing agenda, you wouldn't hold the A.
Right.
But I thought it was really cool.
I think that there is a lot of that sort of abandonment of form within the writing and also in the delivery. While listening to the song and reading the lyrics, it really seems like he writes the lyrics first and then composes music and then sets the music, composes music that fits the mood that he's going for, and then fits the melody line and lyrics together over the instrumental. That's what I got out of this. Or like it seems like it's written within itself, you know? Like it's not really written to a specific meter. It's just written and then delivered wherever it falls on the meter, which is something that's very hard to get away with. I think
So that's what you should have done with my poems that I sent you to make into songs. No,
I'm not.
just
I don't
kidding.
write like that. That's what I'm
just kidding.
saying.
No, I think it's really interesting because I just had this conversation with this guy who has he like makes records for people. Sorry, Seth, I don't actually know your specific. He produces. He has a recording studio. I was just asking him about how he writes songs, and he said that the music comes first.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. And you feel similarly. You make the music first.
No, I do
No.
both at the same time.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So these are 3 different kinds of songwriting techniques.
Yeah. Well, I guess I should say that I sort of alternate, and then I add more music later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then this person I was chatting to about it because I was just curious. And I was also, I wonder if I was not thinking about this, what you're thinking about this song and
Yeah.
how the lyrics were probably written first. I wonder if I thought that without realizing it because I was like talking to him shortly after listening to this album. And I wonder if it was a thought in my brain, like, but without realizing it. And I decided I want to start asking more artists that question. What comes first? And does it matter? If that's right, and he writes his words first, and you do your music and words at the same time, this other person I know writes, I guess there is no, like, wrong way.
No, of course not.
There's definitely a wrong way to write a poem.
That's music first. I think is maybe the wrong way to write a poem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think in Hard Look, I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. I'm not trying to be someone. I'm not trying to be anyone. I think that is sort of an example of falling in an interesting place in the meter because it makes sense up until the 4th line. I think anyone is delivered at a rhythm that is non-typical. I think it might, I don't know if it's syncopated. It's hard for me to think about how that actually breaks down if I'm not looking at it. Maybe it's just a triplet. But yeah, one of the things I've noticed is that the vocalist's delivery is sort of not necessarily haphazard, but it's not tied to the meter necessarily. Like, you know how Snoop Dogg raps?
Yeah.
It's confident because he knows he's going to get back to where he needs to be, and he can fall off the beat a little bit if he wants to, because that's his presence, you know? And I think when you establish something like experimental synth pop, that's one of the elements of it. You know, it can really be wherever. It's not pop music where you sort of expect things to be in these certain places within a meter. It's not, you know, A-B rhyme scheme poetry. That's why I think that he wrote it first, most likely.
Yeah, well, it also sounds like you don't really say there's like experimental poetry. There's
Yeah.
just like, you know, not form,
Yeah.
and then there's form. But it definitely seems like the experimental part of his experimental genre thing could be the writing. Because if I'm thinking like a writer, there's a little bit of iambic pentameter, sort of, going on. There's some interesting line breaks. You call that enjambment when you're writing a poem. And so there's some things that make me feel like he either likes poetry, has read poetry, maybe studied English in college, because there's some interesting techniques that are happening. And I don't know if they were on accident or if they were on purpose, that are techniques that are specifically used in poetry writing specifically.
Of course.
Not like narratives or any of that kind of thing. So I wonder if like, because part of being experimental when writing poetry is experimenting with line breaks and enjambment. He's definitely doing that.
Yeah.
So I like synth pop can be weird and can sound experimental, whatever, because everyone knows it's a synth and synths do strange things, right? So
Yeah.
I wonder if the experimental part is more for the lyrics than it is for the music.
Yeah. I think that is a really smart way to look at it. I
And
think that's really
it
a
could be
good...
totally wrong.
But I think that that's clever interpretation. I hadn't thought about that, and I definitely see that. Because it is weird, but I think you're right in that the experiment might be there, you know? Because this is, like, musically stuff that I'm familiar with, you know, as far as the sounds. And so when you label yourself as experimental, there has to be some element of it.
There has to be some elephant.
There has to be some elephant in the room. And maybe the elephant of the room is, I don't know.
What is the elephant
I
in
guess
the room,
I
Evan?
don't really want to talk about it, you know?
Har har.
Hey,
Har 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 har.
no, come on.
Har 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 har.
You're not giving me, okay.
Yeah, actually, no, I looked up iambic pentameter. He might be.
He's not writing in iambic pentameter.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Five.
He's not writing in iambic pentameter.
Fine, but he's got unstressed syllable.
Yeah, but like the thing that you talked about, like rhyming agenda with friend.
Well,
and
that's
end,
not a part of iambic pentameter.
No.
No. If I really went through and looked at it, it'd have to be one of the longer lines because I know how they're supposed to be set up.
the psychic, like for example, the psychic creek between us, dammed and shut by a listlessness incurred, is not an iambic pentameter. It's in iambs for most of it, but then when you get to listlessness, it's just a different kind of foot.
Yeah, all right.
Poetically,
You're
yeah.
right. Almost there.
I mean, it's writing in iambs just sort of makes sense. It feels right. And I think that's part of why the delivery feels kind of awkward at times, because it's not written in, or doesn't feel like the syllable count is being monitored, you know?
That's true.
Like when I write music, one of the drafts, basically, or one of the editing periods is just going through and finding the right amount of syllables, so I feel like I'm ending in the right spot, or I'm saying the right number of syllables to get a certain effect. I think if you're not writing to music, or if you're going to compose the music to whatever you write, or you're writing to something that is more freeform, like this instrumental is, then you don't have to pay as much attention to that, because you're not trying to hit a beat in a certain place. You're just sort of trying to say these things over it, you know? And it's sort of laying over more than it is fitting on
In.
top of. Yeah,
Oh.
and in.
In
yeah.
or on top of?
In, so it's like if you have a surface, like a jagged surface, you can find something that fits in the jags, or you can find something that just goes over the top.
Yeah.
Both are effective for creating a walkable surface, but they just function differently.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of what's going on here. And I also just wanted to say, I know that I asked Katie if she watched BoJack Horseman. She has seen a couple episodes, but have not seen all of it. I think that if you do watch BoJack Horseman and you know about Todd's space opera from the first season, I feel like the last 4 songs of this, Snore Captain, Two Heart Tombs, Drunk Hug, and Headbang, they could be part of that space opera. You know, like obviously someone who's a better vocalist than Aaron Paul and a better musician than Todd's character. I don't really have a good frame of reference for space opera. Apparently Star Wars is one.
It is.
Like officially, I think that's this is sci-fi music.
I mean, that's what I said to Evan when I
Yeah.
first got in the car. I was like, so, basic printer,
Sci-fi music.
sci-fi music.
Yeah.
And that's really all no, I'm just kidding. That's not all we needed to say.
If that was all we needed to say, we'd have started with that.
Yeah, no, we wanted to end with this song specifically because it is where the entire album shifts
Yes, exactly.
from this point.
And also,
on.
these 3 songs are currently available on Bandcamp, and the release date is kind of
It's coming. So I actually
we don't exactly know when. So we wanted, if we decide to release this before the official release, you'll still be able to hear these 3 songs on Bandcamp.
So basically, you can go on Bandcamp right now and you can buy the tape and listen to the whole thing because the tapes are available. Again, they're tapes. We know that Evan
cassettes.
hates cassettes, but you can buy one. And I bet, actually, according to Instagram, they're in like 5 really fun colors. Just saying. But the rest of it is going to be, I asked about the release date. I messaged Jesse, and he said it's going to be released through an email experience between September 15th and October 15th. So,
and it'll be available for streaming in November. So I think we're going to put it out before that. So
Yeah.
hopefully you'll be able to listen to these 3 tracks and maybe subscribe to the email list or just follow.
him on Instagram.
Is it Jesse's Instagram or is Basic Printer?
I think it's Basic Printer.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's on Instagram as Basic Printer. He's on Bandcamp as Basic Printer. Facebook as Basic Printer.
Yes. And also, if you go on the Bandcamp, if you want to get the cassette and the digital album experience, that text is upside down and backwards, which is very much like releasing a cassette in 2018. I think a lot of people probably think that that's wild and cool. I am not a fan of that because I just can't read it, and I'm not going to put the effort into trying to read
I
this
think it's really cool because not only is it upside down, it's in different,
Upside
like there are
backwards.
different, the S's are
Oh.
not, no, the L's are not L's, they're a wiggle. They're
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
you're
wiggle
right.
sign. And the T is a different T.
Well, yeah, because it's
Everything
upside
else
down,
is, everything
so I
else
think it
is
like
bold,
has to be.
though. Everything else is bold except for the T's.
You know, I'm not a fan of that. That's just, I guess that's just the part of experimental that is too far for me, huh?
I guess so. He's also on iTunes. Is that basic enough for you, Evan?
Oh yeah, I love that. That's if it's Basic Printer, I need more basic.
Well, how basic can a printer really be?
Super basic. You put paper in, paper comes out. There's never a miscommunication.
But people take them and they turn them into like 8-bit generators
Yeah.
to make covers of Rock Lobster.
Oh yes, you're right. I'm not interested in that. That's too much. That's too much, man.
Not for me.
I also just wanted to say one last thing about Good Weird, the song. It sounds like a printer at parts, and I love that. I think that is the most fun part of this album, and if there's one thing you take away, weird can be good, and good can be weird.
And Good Weird is a fun listen. Mm-hmm. And it felt like I was listening to something new.
You know what? Nick Cox would love this album.
Should we say people's last name? Why not?
Yeah.
Nick Cox would love this album. So specifically Nick Cox, check it out. Everybody else, you should also check it out. You should definitely check it out.
If you like Bahamas and 8-bit music, definitely listen to the first 4
And
tracks.
if you're like me and you live in Brooklyn, you can go listen live on October 27th at Gold Sounds Bar. The shows are listed on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
I think I'm
yeah.
going to be on a staff retreat, so I won't be able to go. But yeah, you can also listen if you're in Pennsylvania, because that's another favorite state of Evan and my.
Oh, yeah. We check out a lot of people from Pennsylvania. So email us What's our email? Pizza My Heart podcast.
Pizza My Heart Pod.
Pizza My Heart pod.
So pizza and then my and heart all spelled the regular way, and then pod like podcast.
First
P-O-D,
three letters. Yeah.
at gmail.com. We also have a Facebook, and we also have an Instagram. And our Facebook has like kind of a lot of likes, and our Instagram is kind of lagging in followers. So
Follow us on Instagram.
Follow us on Instagram.
Email us at PizzaMyHeartPod if you have suggestions for people to cover, suggestions for food to eat. If you have any feedback, any art, if you have any Pizza My Art you want to share.
Pizza My Art would be great.
Speaking of Pizza My Art, just want to finally give a shout out because I don't know if we've done it on the podcast since we've gotten the album art from my good friend Natalie.
We haven't.
Natalie Padberg Bar 2 is an incredible artist. And if you can follow her at Noodly on Instagram, which is N00TALIE, that's where we got our album art.
She literally made, well, we don't have an album.
Oh, sorry.
Stop
what
dreaming.
Cover art.
Wake
Sorry.
up, Snore Captain. She made our cover art, and honestly, I told Evan, I was like, I texted him one day, I was like, so the dream for the cover art will be us in a hot tub of cheese, but it'll kind of be like pizza, you know? There'll be stuff floating around in it, maybe some crust. And I was really nervous that he was going to be like too much, but he
Yeah.
wasn't.
No, I love that.
And she made it for us, and it's exactly what I was imagining.
Honestly, I'm sure that's some people's favorite part of this podcast.
Maybe.
Or maybe their favorite part is coming up, and this is the part where we say goodbye.
So listen to Basic Printer, and
And
thanks for listening to us.
yeah, don't stay away from Vienna sausages.
Stay away from canned Vienna sausages. Not a good pairing. Music was good. Food was bad. Seems to.
Everything was weird.
Everything was weird about the sausages. Just don't even. Don't
All
put
right.
yourself in that situation.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time.
Peace.
This has been My Heart.
My heart.
My heart.